Now, imagine waking up one morning and finding out that the IRS considers you a US taxpayer, meaning you now owe taxes to the US government just like a US citizen. If you have a foreign-owned US LLC and have been filling out the wrong tax forms, you might have unknowingly committed perjury, and that is a serious crime. Stick with me for the next few minutes and I will show you exactly what this mistake is, why it happens, and how to fix it before it lands you in trouble. Now, if you're a non-US person who owns a US LLC, you probably set it up because of all the benefits it comes with, like limited liability, access to US markets, infrastructures, and payment platforms. For me, the payment platforms is a big one. But most importantly, not being subject to US taxes while owning a US LLC. If you don't learn anything about US tax laws as a foreigner who owns a US LLC, you need to learn about these two categories of tax forms that you will almost always encounter. And I'm talking about forms W8 and W9. Now, form W9 is for US citizens and entities. Whenever you fill out a W9, you're essentially saying to the IRS, hey, I am a US person and you don't have to withhold any of my earnings as tax withholding. I will handle my taxes accordingly. So on this form, you would provide your SSN, your social security number, or your EIN. So anyone who's filling out the W9 would most likely have an SSN. But on the other hand, the W8 forms are for foreign individuals or foreign entities. So when you fill out a W8 form, you're simply saying to the IRS, I am not a US person and I am not subject to the same tax rules that apply to US citizens. So usually filling out a W8 form means that platforms or employers or wherever you submit this form will withhold a percentage of your earning as tax withholding. So the W8 forms come in several subcategories depending on your situation. Three of the most common types of W8 forms are: one, the W8-BEN, which is for individuals, so freelancers and independent contractors; W8-BEN-E for foreign entities, LLCs, or partnerships. And there's also the W8-ECI, which is also for foreign individuals or entities that earn income that is considered effectively connected income to a US trade or business. Businesses under this ECI category are usually subject to US taxes. There are other not so common categories of the W8 form, like the W8-EXP for foreign governments, tax-exempt organizations, or foreign private foundations. There is also the W8-IMY for foreign intermediaries like agents or brokers, or flow-through entities like partnerships. So the problem and the mistake is that some people think it's a smart hack to use a W9 to escape or avoid the withholding tax that comes with W8. But this is a dangerous game. The IRS doesn't take kindly to misrepresentation, and the consequences can be severe. You could face penalties for failing to report your income or pay taxes. The IRS may audit your accounts because you've now gone and presented yourself as a US person or a US entity that should not be disregarded. And also you can get in legal trouble because in extreme cases, you can face criminal charges for perjury. So if you have submitted a W9 and used your EIN because you have a US LLC and have an EIN, and you use your EIN in place of SSN and submitted that W9 form to your employer or on platforms like YouTube, on freelance and e-commerce marketplaces, or blogging platforms like Medium, or whatever platform where you're required to submit a tax form, you need to quickly make the correction and submit the appropriate W8 form. Some platforms and employers may not even catch the error if you submitted your foreign-owned US LLC EIN in place of an SSN on a W9 form. In preparation for this video, I actually tried filling out a W9 form on YouTube and Fiverr and Medium just to see if anyone was going to oversight. YouTube and Fiverr did not approve the W9 form that I submitted, but Medium actually approved the form, which is not a good thing. So if I'd let it be on Medium, any amount of money I make, there will be no tax withholding and I'll keep 100% of the money. But that is only because I have submitted a W9 and I'm expected to pay the taxes myself to the IRS as a US citizen or entity. So whether or not the companies or the employers oversight this, you don't want to make the mistake of filling out a W9 when you should be filling out a W8. Some people make this mistake out of ignorance. But remember that ignorance is not an excuse in the eyes of the law. You need to take the time to understand your obligations and fill out the correct forms if you own a foreign-owned US LLC. Speaking of knowing your obligations, most people who run foreign-owned US LLCs do not know that they have to file a tax return every single year, your Form 5472 and 1120. And this doesn't mean that you have to pay taxes, but it's something that you have to do to keep your LLC in good standing with the IRS. And if you want to learn how to do that, the next video is going to show you how.